Hi guys, so today is a really fun video. I asked 3 of my very best friends to lend me their favorite makeup products, and I'm going to be doing that on my face today, a full face using their favorite products. This was a really interesting challenge because my 3 best friends have very different ways of doing makeup. First we have Rhiannon, who's really full coverage, very glam. She's often quite experimental with her eyeshadow, probably most similar to my style. Next we have Laura, who always just looks like perfected, doesn't go too overboard, like just looks really healthy, beautiful. And then we have Kaylee, who's very natural, typically only wears a BB cream, doesn't wear a whole lot of makeup. So all 3 of them kind of cover the 3 different types of makeup styles, and so I really thought that this would be a fun video to do where they lend me their favorite products and I see how they work and I see how I like them, and I just kind of wanted to know more about my best friends' preferences. So I got everyone to write me a little note as to why they chose that product, and we're just gonna have to get going. So I have already primed my eyelids and I'm going to be starting out with the Huda Electric Obsessions. This one is from Rhiannon and she says, "This is a new addition to my collection, but I've been really enjoying stepping out of my comfort zone and experimenting with colour, even when my gran said I looked like a drag queen." So I'm going to be playing around with some of the colours in here. I did have an inkling that Rhiannon was going to fuck me up and give me a bright eyeshadow palette, and she did. So I'm excited to try this out because every single time that she uses it, it just looks so much fun. I think I'm going to start out with the yellow in the middle to like set my lid. Oh my god, that's so cool. Now underneath that colour, so a little bit closer to my crease line, I'm going to be putting that orange shade. So I have a video coming out soon about trends that I hope happen in 2018, and one of the trends that I said that I would really like to see is people mixing and experimenting with both cool and warm tones together in one look. So I'm going to be taking some of my own advice and trying that because I think that that is like a really fun and unique way to play with color. And even like when I was doing a little bit of research on makeup brands last week, and back in the day when NARS first started out, he became quite well known for doing these unusual makeup looks. The eye looks would be quite cold toned and then the lips would be quite warm toned. Like he often played with those 2 variations. So that was really interesting because it wasn't long after I had filmed that video that I actually found that out, and I was like, I'm a genius. I am going to be going in with a little bit of that maroon shade just to kind of tie in the orange with the blue a little bit, and I'm going to try and pull that as close down on the lid as possible. I'm really liking how these shades are blending out. They are so soft, oh my gosh, and they're really pigmented and they're just like easy to blend. I don't know, I am losing a little bit of the pigmentation as I'm blending, but I'm not finding that it's a huge issue. So to soften out the edges of this, I'm going to be going back in with that yellow shade and take it just along the edge of that eyeshadow. So I'm thinking that that's looking really cool. Like I'm really super excited about this makeup look. So now I'm going to be, I just need to take a little bit of concealer and I'm going to cut out my crease. So I am going to be taking the concealer also from Rhiannon, I think. Yeah, so this one's also from Rhiannon. It's the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. This one is in the shade Light Neutral. Life changed when this concealer entered my life. If I want to look like I have no flaws, which I don't anyway, but hey, this is my go-to. So that is really good accolades. You guys already know I love my Tarte Shape Tape, so I am more than comfortable using that. So I'm going to be taking some of that on my flat shader eyeshadow brush, and I'm going to start packing that onto the lid. With my eyes in particular, with my cut creases, I do want to go just up to above where my crease line is. This will make it visible when my eyes are open for once, because otherwise you can't see anything. You can't see any of the eyeshadow that I do because my crease covers it all. So as you can see there, when I look straight at you, my cut crease does go slightly above my crease line. This isn't going to look weird like I just have my eyeshadow all the way up to my eyebrows, although I do today, but it's just going to make it so that my eyeshadow is visible and kind of tie the look together. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to see the blue that I'm putting on my eyelid at all. And this is just what I've found that I feels the most flattering for my eye. The tricky part now is getting the same shape and height on the other side. So I'm actually going to round this out a little bit more like that. And I also did stop about 3/4 into my eyelid. This is going to give us that like 3/4 cut crease look where it kind of fades off into that orange shade, which I think will look really cool. If you're trying to do a similar technique to this and you're finding it pretty difficult, try changing the brush that you use. I would suggest using something quite stiff, something that's not too fluffy so you can get a really crisp line. I would also recommend going darker in the crease than you naturally would, because once you cut out that crease, you don't want the color of the concealer to be too close to the crease color you've put in, otherwise you won't be able to see how sharp the cut is. So that would be my recommendation, or you could do a totally different tone, but I would recommend going slightly darker in the crease and also having quite a stiff little synthetic concealer brush would work really well. This brush here isn't actually my favorite. So now you can see when my eyes are open, this one comes up slightly higher than this one, and I actually think I like the shape of this one a little bit better. I think that it's a little bit more flattering how it comes up a little bit higher at the front here. So I'm going to be trying as hard as I can to match that up. Cool, so that there is the cut crease so far. I'm just going to wipe off my brush with a little bit of toilet paper. This is because I can't be bothered washing a second brush, and I'm going to be taking some of that bright turquoise color onto my brush. And I'm going to start packing that on. I'm not sure if I'm going to be using any of the dark shades at this stage. I'm going to try do this with just the light shade and see how I go. So I am going to leave that little part just at the end there because I'm not sure what I want to do with that yet. And I'm going to be going over to the other side, and you can see it's really starting to take shape now. And again, just like the concealer, you want to make sure that you go right up to that line but not over it. When I first started doing cut creases, I just assumed that the eyeshadow would stick better to the part that I put the concealer on, and the part that I didn't put the concealer on, it wouldn't stick. So I was kind of going a little bit crazy and I wouldn't get as sharp of a cut crease as I wanted. This is much better when you really take your time, and I think a lot of intense makeup looks, a lot of the technique is just taking your time, being more slow, being a little bit more thoughtful with where you put your brush, how much product you use, etc., as opposed to just rushing through it will really help. So as you can see, those colors there now are on. I am going to be trying to take a little bit of that dark blue shade there and just seeing how that looks when I press it onto the outer part of the eye. So I am liking how that's looking, but I do think that I will need to do some blending just at the edge there to melt the colors in together. Next, I'm going to be taking a little bit of a mixture of that matte blue shade with the matte red shade to make kind of this purpley color, and I'm just going to start blending that in. And so because we use the same red shade that I put on my lid, going between a transition of purple and red is a lot easier than blue and orange, for example. And so that is going to make this process a lot easier. We still aren't muddying up the crease at all, but we are going to be adding a little bit more of that color just to blend those two together. Otherwise it looks a little too stark because the brightness of the orange shade doesn't correlate to the brightness of the blue shade, and therefore it looks too different. So, I mean, it's totally up to you what your preference is. I just typically would prefer something more similar to this, and we are going to be blending this out a little bit more than this side, what it was before anyway. And also want to remind you, this is a perfect opportunity to remind you that I don't have a matte purple in this palette. I'm having to make one by mixing a blue and a red together. So this is not like a difficult thing to do. It's just going to help you get a little bit more usability out of your eyeshadows. Cool. So now that we have that done, I'm just going to wipe off that brush, and I'm going to be going back in with that red shade again And I'm going to be going around the edges of this. And I am going to be going into a little bit more of that light blue that we put everywhere, just to make sure that it's all really well blended there. That looks really, really cool. I'm super happy with that one. So now I'm going to be cleaning up underneath my eyes. I'm just going to take a little bit of Fix Plus because that's all I have here. Cleaning up the area underneath my eye to prepare us to move on. So typically what I like to do if this is your first one of my videos here is I will always do my eyeshadow first and then I will go through and do my base. I get too much fallout, I'm far too messy, so that is what we're doing today. Definitely not the easiest thing to remove using tissues and Fix Plus. I would recommend obviously using a makeup remover. So next are some primers from Kaylee, and I actually stupidly misplaced her little piece of paper telling me about the product, so I'm going to be putting all of them down below anyway, all of their quotes, so I will add that in because I'm getting her to resend them to me. So I apologize if my lighting, everything changed, my camera died and my light keeps fucking up. It's a mess here. I'm going to continue. So she gave me a little sample of the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer and one of the Benefit Porefessionals. So I think I'm going to start, oh gosh, this light, man. I think I'm going to start with the Porefessional. I'm going to be taking a really small amount of that and pressing it onto my nose and like my pores. Then I'm going to be going over the rest of my face with that Smashbox primer. Ooh, both of these are very silicone-y. I'm trying not to put too much on. So now we're going to move straight on to foundation. This foundation is by Laura. Laura gave me the Fenty foundation. This is in number 150 and I am going to be popping that on my skin. I do have Fenty myself, but I do not have the right color. I do not have the right application techniques. I don't have the right fucking anything for this foundation. So what she said about the foundation was she recently got this foundation on a trip to the States, and ever since trying it for the first time in store, it's been a favorite. She loves how it sits on her face and how it makes her skin look. The only thing she doesn't like is that it needs a good shake. Damn it. We need to shake it. Okay. I'm gonna give it a good shake. Okay, I'm gonna try that again. I don't know how much to put on because whenever I put it on it looks like crap. So I'm going to start with a small amount, and I have like a little buffing brush, and I'm gonna start working that into the skin. You can come here for a cuddle. That's okay. Now you can say hi to the camera. Say hi.
Hi.
Wave. Oh, little crying brother. Now I'm going to be going back in with that Tarte Shape Tape Concealer underneath my eyes and around my face. But so far I'm really liking how that foundation is sitting. I think definitely giving it a shake. Great advice. I absolutely love that, and that will definitely help me with using my products in the future because I didn't really know how to use it. The other thing that I really liked was using a small amount in a brush like this and not building it up too heavy. I think I've been doing it wrong this whole time, and so I'm really glad that I got to try it out again with Laura's products and have a couple of tips from her. So now we're going to be going back in with the Tarte Shape Tape. I don't like to use too much of this, and I'm going to be taking that same brush. Maybe I'll spray it with a little bit of Fix Plus just to give it a little bit of slip. Wetting that brush again with some more Fix Plus. And like every couple of dabs that I do, because I put on way too much, I'm actually wiping it off so that I don't have too much product build up right underneath my eyes here. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with how all of that is blending out. I think that this looks really nice. Like my base looks flawless, which it hasn't done in a really long time. So everyone might not get these products back. I am really happy with how everything's turning out. This is going really well for me. So now we're going to be going on to powder. So Kaylee again gave me two products because she couldn't make up her mind. So we have, I guess for all over the face, we have a Smashbox face powder. This is the Photo Filter Creamy Powder Foundation in number 2, and the RCMA powder, which looks well loved. So I'm excited to give both of those a go. I have used the RCMA powder before, but not in a really long time, so I'm excited to give that a go again. I am going to be using like a powder brush to put both of these on. I think my technique is going to be to put the RCMA powder underneath my eyes. So I'm going to start off with that. Oh Jesus Christ, this is powdery. So this is the RCMA powder, and now on the face I'm going to be taking that SMASHBOX powder. I have never used this powder before. Seems like there are a couple of pieces in Kaylee's favorites that are from SMASHBOX. I haven't used SMASHBOX in a really long time, except for the little bronze contour highlight sticks, the cream sticks. So I might have to give them a check out if Kaylee likes them so much. I'm liking how everything's applying to the skin, and that just looks really soft. Like, it doesn't look powdery, it doesn't look heavy. You can kind of see there's still like some shine to the skin, there's still some softness. So now I'm going to be going in with a bronzer. This one is from Rhiannon. It's the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Soleil. I have used a little sample of this, loved it, but I haven't used it in a really long time. Rhiannon says here, I've used this bronzer almost every time I've done my makeup for 3 years and have repurchased it twice. It's the best bronzer for my pale ass. So I'm also pretty pale. I haven't used this in so long. Oh God, that smells good. It got in my tongue. That tastes really good. It actually tastes, it's chocolatey. I know you're definitely not supposed to eat this, but that tastes delicious. It smells delicious and it tastes delicious. Every time I put my brush in it, it like kicks up powder and it gets in my mouth and I'm like, that tastes so good. And that's a really nice color too. Look at this. That is my sweat moustache. The next thing is going to be a blush. This is a blush out of the palette, Naked Flushed palette. Laura recommended this to me. So it says here, this is my absolute favorite go-to product. I love how much glow it gives me. It's super pigmented though. The first time I used it, I used way too much. So, sorry, I'm looking at my computer because some people gave me notes, some people sent it to me. Regardless, we're going. So I'm going to be using this shade here, which is obviously well loved. I really love seeing how much product everyone is using out of favorite products. So she says not to use a lot. Oh, that is pigmented. So I'm literally tapping my brush into it once, going and blending it on the skin. Oh, this does give a nice glow. And then blending it out before I put any more on. Laura, I don't even know how you hit pan in this. You have to touch it so lightly. Oh, I did a double tap. Oh, I'm getting cocky. Oh, I think I've definitely put too much on. I don't know. If I think that a blush is going to be too pigmented, one trick that I use is like if I don't know whether or not it's going to be too pigmented. We already have the bronzer there, right? The contour. And so I always place my brush down as far back as I can get it along that bronzer line and blend upwards. If I were to put it straight here and I didn't know how pigmented it was, I could be left with a gigantic red circle of blush on my face. But I like to blend it into that bronzer line. I want that to be really seamless. I don't want you to be able to see that there's too much of a difference. Ooh, this is nice. So I'm going to be taking a little bit of that powder brush. Another trick, obviously, that I use is just to take my powder brush, typically just close to my nose, just to blend that out, because I do tend to get a little bit close. I like my blush right up beside my nose. And now I'm going to be going in with highlight. We're coming to the end. So this is, ooh, the Double Gleam by MAC. This is one of Kaylee's products. So I'm going to be taking that with my same brush because I live wildly. And I'm going to be popping that on. That is really nice. I used this highlight a lot when I was working at MAC. It's definitely one of my favorites. It's super blinding. Great if you have pale skin. I'm going to be taking a little bit onto the inner corner as well. I think we can build that up. I reckon we can go more. We can do more here. That is so good. Yes, I'm loving this. Okay, I'm going to go back in with the eyeshadow palette before I finish off the lips. So I'm going to be grabbing, I'm tossing up whether I want to do the orange and stuff underneath my eyes or whether I want to do the blue. I think doing the orange would look cool. And then maybe doing purple, maybe doing blue. So indecisive. So I'm going to be going in with a little bit of that yellow on my dirty brush. Now I'm going to be taking a little pencil brush and I'm going to be going in with that orange shade mixed in with a little bit of that red, and I'm going to be popping that closer to the lash line. I'm going to be going back in with that shade with a little bit more yellow on it and try and hug that line where the orange is as much as possible, just to blend it out. Putting a little bit more yellow underneath this eye. So now to finish us off, I have a little lipstick from Laura. This is a NARS Audacious lipstick in Anita, and I completely forgot that I had this lip color when I did this eyeshadow, so who knows how this is going to turn out like. Surprisingly, I actually think this lip color goes really well with the eyeshadow because it's neither warm nor cool. It's kind of right smack dab in the middle. It has a little bit of purple in it, and I think that, I don't know, I'm just really liking how it's bouncing off the eyes and how interesting it looks. It's super soft on the lips. It's got a really nice pigmentation. I am so happy with every single product that my best friends lent me for this video. Alright, so this is going to be like the end of the video, I guess. I have been wearing this makeup probably for the last 2.5 hours. It hasn't been a super long time, but I did need to recharge my camera battery, so I thought that I would take a little hiatus and see how this makeup was sitting on my skin. And to be honest, this isn't a first impressions or anything. I'm not trying to critique these products. It's literally just figuring out a little bit more about my best friends, why they chose certain products, what sort of products really interest them. I think that this is a really fun challenge to do with your friends, just to really get to know their preferences, whether they choose something that they truly love and use every single day, or whether they choose one of their favorites that they think would suit you best, or whatever, what sort of person they are. I don't know, this is just really interesting to me, and it's been a really good learning experience. I don't know, I just really enjoyed this. This makeup turned out way better than I could have ever imagined. I think every single item that my best friends have as their favorites are there for a really good reason, and they obviously have a great taste in products and have found what really works for them. So to give you a little bit of a backstory about my friend group and kind of how we got together, if you don't want to know about any of this, you can just quit out of this video. It's just, I didn't really know what I was hoping to get out of this challenge when I decided to do it, when I contacted my friends, but I really think this has been kind of a good way for me to get to know them just a little bit better. My best friends and I are very close, but having something like this where we're kind of pushed outside of our comfort zone, they're recommending me something, it's quite like personal to them, and for them to offer these things to me to lend. In my friend group, we're all really close. We hang out probably a couple of times a week and we just have such fun. I've never ever been a part of a friend group that's so close-knit and so like unconditional. They have literally been there with me through periods of time where I've completely gone off the grid because I'm having an episode of isolation, or I am in a really depressed state and I don't want to see anyone or talk to anyone. They are the ones that have been there the whole time, and I honestly could not have wished for anyone better to be in my life. I don't know how I got so lucky. It just blows me away every single day. And like, I had friends when I was in high school, but none of them were unconditional like this, and I feel like I can totally be open and honest if they frustrate me, if I'm hurt by something, if I need someone to talk to, if I've done something wrong. Like, they are literally there unconditionally for me always, which is really important and something I never thought that I'd be able to find. I'm getting like way more emotional than I thought I was going to. They knew that I was going to do this video and they just didn't mind, you know, they trusted me, and I just think that that's really nice, and it just makes me feel really warm and fuzzy, and I thank them a lot for letting me lend their favorite products. Not many people let you borrow their favorite products off of them. So that is going to be it for the end of this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!